Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the designer, Shay Norling back in the building. Shay, Caleb Williams is a liar, according to Matt Eberflus. He's not telling any truths out here, and we're here to break it all down, all and more on today's episode. What are your thoughts, Shay Norling? First off, before we get there, how are you feeling, my guy?
Well, I'm good. I off a nice little weekend. I had some rest and relaxation. The Caleb thing, it's hard to really quantify how I feel about it. I think it's two things. The hindsight factor of I never really believed that he didn't watch film, that nobody was having him watch film. Like, that just seemed so outlandish of a claim. Now, part of it is it was a quote through his father in the Seth Wickersham piece. So it was something that Caleb said to Carl Williams, then Carl Williams relayed it to Wickersham for the book. So who knows? Like, there's a game of telephone being played. And Caleb cleared it up to an extent where he's like, I did watch film, I just didn't know how to watch it efficiently. I think the important thing in the comment that Eberflus offered when he was on that podcast with a couple Cowboys writers, he said daily coached film, which would imply somebody's sitting there with you, watching it with you and taking you through what you need to know. That would at least be the implication. I don't know how much we can read into it other than, I pretty firmly believe that Matt Eberflus came out and said, lying Caleb Williams on my name. Like, that's what we saw on the podcast. He called Caleb Williams a liar.
I mean, that's the given. What Matt Eberflus talked about, and appreciate you guys for showing love. We jumped right into this because this is hilarious. We do want to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by the Advantage Dealer Group. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, or Acura dealer and drive off in under 60 minutes, or they'll make your first car payment. Also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. Las Vegas style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field, exit 6 right off of I-80 94. Here's where I'm at on this, and I love, people are going to take this to a different place. I'm glad that you started by saying Caleb did clarify this, that it was, I knew how to watch film, but it is the specifics, knowing what to watch for, knowing how to watch it efficiently, knowing, okay, after this game, I need to be breaking down this, and this because we play these guys again in a couple of weeks. What Flus ended up saying basically was, back to your other question about watching the film and all that, I would say this, that in the development of the quarterback position and really all positions at my time at the Bears, we've always had daily coach film sessions that was out there through the entire year. So that's what I observed, and that's where it was. A very Flus answer. We've heard those answers a million times. Yes, they did sit down with the players every single day to start the day and watch film. Was the film watching working? Were you watching film in a way that it was helping Caleb Williams, that it was beneficial to Caleb Williams? When Caleb Williams came to you and said, this is not helping, I need to know this, and this, were you available in those moments? That's what this really comes down to me. And Flus calling Caleb Williams a liar is kind of like, yes, we did the bare minimum of our job, and I'm shocked that we are fired.
Well, I think it also just speaks to who Matt Eberflus is. Like, does he strike you as somebody who, if you came to him as an employee, and I'll just even remove it from the football context, just imagine you're at work and Matt Eberflus is your boss and you have questions and concerns about something that's going on at the office, and you go to Matt Eberflus and you say, like, hey, I don't think this is being done well enough. I don't think this is being done well enough. Does he strike you as somebody who would validate your concerns and work with you to make it better? Or does he strike you as somebody who would say, this is the way we do things. Things are being done to the extent they need to be done. Like, there's never been a level of accountability necessary for himself. I think a personal growth answer might have been if he had come out and said, are there some things that I wish I had done differently in teaching Caleb Williams about what it takes to be an NFL quarterback? Yeah, of course there are. But we're where we're at now, and he said how he felt, and I can say how I felt, and that's it. Like, that would have been a better answer than implying that he's lying. Because I'm not going to sit here and say 100% fact Caleb never watched film, or Shane Waldron never sat down with him and went over stuff, or Eberflus never watched film with him. We have, I believe, Hard Knocks evidence of the two of them in a meeting watching film. I believe it happened,
Yeah.
but I think like there's also Caleb may have said, I'm not getting this, or I need more of this, or I need more of that. It's hard to do when you get fired and you also fired your offensive coordinator. So, like, I think both things can be true. But the reality is it ended badly.
Yeah.
And people are going to ask about this. And he went with the answer that I think we could have most expected, which was, I didn't do anything wrong, and he's lying.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I think here's my thing with it too, and you can see a clear divide in Caleb Williams' play last season. It's amazing that when Matt Eberflus was not in the building and when Thomas Brown ended up taking over, all of a sudden there were all of these things that started to look better about Caleb Williams, and there was a rhyme or reason to what he was doing. Now, did all of a sudden he become the greatest quarterback ever? No, but he had a pretty good back end stretch there where Matt Eberflus was not a part of that portion of it. I think even you go back to when Keenan Allen was on, I think it was with Cap over on the recap, and Keenan Allen was on, and he talked about how the simplest thing that Thomas Brown did was he told Caleb where he needs to be looking on the play. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's telling him where his reads are going. That's somebody who was in the building, in that offensive meeting room, basically saying, yeah, Caleb didn't have that before. He didn't know where his eyes were supposed to look. That's a part of watching tape. So it's very tough for me not to say that I think, listen, there's truth on both sides to this. Did they sit down and watch tape together? Sure. On the flip side of it, was Caleb getting what he needed? Probably not. But I think the thing for me that stands out in all of this is you had players in the building that were saying that the film was not up to par, or how he was being taught was not up to par. It's not like Caleb just made this all up out of nowhere and all of a sudden it was like, yeah, I had no help. I think the season would also tell you he probably didn't have a ton of help in that room.
Yeah, I think that's my point in all of this is I do believe what Eberflus is selling. I think he's right, and that film was watched to a degree that he feels is adequate. And I also believe what Caleb and anybody else is selling, that they didn't feel like they were getting the adequate level of coaching from the staff. Like, I think both things are true. And I think Eberflus is just a bad coach who isn't really capable of reflecting. Like, he's been doing this for a long time. He doesn't sound like a guy who will change his ways. He doesn't sound like a guy who's going to adapt. He doesn't sound like he's really open to criticism, especially when you consider that the entire team came to him and said, all we want is for you to stop saying the yards on the play before the Hail Mary didn't matter. We can't sell that. You can't say it. And he refused to stop saying it. Like, he's very stubborn. He's who he is. He believes his way is the right way, even when the results dictate that it isn't. And I would never have expected him to answer this any other way than to say that Caleb is lying. And frankly, I was glad they didn't talk about it any more than that, because I don't want to hear any more than that. Like, just leave it alone. I am so done with last season. I hope that people up at Hallis Hall, when they get back to it, aren't asking Caleb about what Matt Eberflus said. And if they do, I hope Caleb tells them politely, shove it. I don't want to talk about this. Just leave it at what it is. We all know neither of you were good enough, period. So just move forward with a new coach and be better. And that's it. I don't care about who's lying. Maybe you're both telling the truth and you just have different perspectives on it. We're good. We can go that way. Just leave it the fuck alone from here on, please.
Yeah, and I think you have to have it in the conversation now. Like, let's move past that. Flus calls him a liar, yada, yada, yada. Clearly, Ben Johnson is watching tape with him this season. Clearly, right, you've got an offensive staff in place that is going to do a heck of a lot more than what the staff did last season. The real question from all of this is, how much of a difference is that going to make in Caleb Williams' game? I think that's the part for me where it's like, if okay, you didn't watch tape, bet we'll give you that. I'll give you that to start with, because I don't think Matt Eberflus was a good head coach. Okay, you didn't have an offensive staff in place that was helping you. I'll give you that, because I don't think Shane Waldron was a good offensive coordinator. You've got all of these things. It has to hit. You have to hit the ground running this. You can't come out and I'm not even going to say you have to be perfect because I think new offensive line, there's a lot of things in place, but it has to look like this guy knows what's coming at him because somebody watched tape with him this season. If that's your claim, if that's what you want to stand on, that's fine. But when you face Minnesota to start the season, you need to know exactly what's coming at you when that zero blitz is coming your way, when you're seeing a ton of pressure coming your way because you've watched the tape now. You know what to expect from Minnesota. You've played them twice. How do you improve upon that?
Yeah, think of all the times last year where you saw him like actually in control of the offense going up to the line of scrimmage. And I know it wasn't always perfect because Waldron put too much on him, but there were times where you just saw a kid who looked beyond his years in terms of command level over the offense. So if now you have a serious head coach who's able to sit down with you and explain what you're supposed to be seeing when you're watching all this stuff on tape and how you can utilize it on the field, and it's to the extent that Caleb wants it to be, which maybe is more than Eberflus and Waldron are capable of. Doesn't mean it's wrong for Caleb to want more than that. It just maybe he needs more than that. And maybe Ben Johnson can give it to him. And if he can, then you're only going to see those moments where he's in command of the offense more often and look better. This hopefully can get him to the next level. Having a coach who's willing to actually sit down and do the one-on-one work and explain to him how to be more efficient in prep and how to be more efficient in practice and figure all that stuff out. Like, that's the biggest part of being a pro, is the depth of knowledge is so much more vast at the professional level than at the college level. And I don't think he had anybody in the building last year that was capable of giving that to him.
Yeah, I mean that's the part for me, and I'll say this. I'll take it a step further, Shay. You have the command, you have the opportunity. I need to see you grow as a leader, and I think that we did see that a little bit in OTAs, in minicamp, and stuff like that, where Caleb Williams was taking the lead, and he was the one kind of helping guys get organized and stuff like that, and understanding, okay, this is what we need to be running. You gotta back up. You got to be lined up here. I need to see Caleb Williams in those moments now where the playbook is going to come to you. You're going to start to figure that out. It's going to take some time throughout the season. But as you get it, you need to be the one in command. And I need to see the confidence that you kept saying that you wanted to have in that first year, but you didn't want to disrespect Matt Eberflus. You didn't want to call the timeout in those moments. You didn't want to, right, make mistakes and do the wrong thing. Take the chance, right? If the clock's running down and you're playing Detroit and you got one play, call timeout. Hey, we got to get a play in.
We
here.
got
What
bigger
are we doing
problems,
right
man. If the clock is running down and Ben Johnson's not taking a timeout like Eberflus last year, then we got bigger problems. We got Ben Johnson fish to fry. I don't want those. Like, again, part of why I'm a little more comfortable this year is I think the head coach is a smart individual. I think he's maybe the smartest person in football. Like, he just strikes me as brilliant. This is like how I felt about McVay when he took over for the Rams, or how people felt about Kyle Shanahan when he took over for the Niners. You got one of the guys that we think is just brilliant. I have a hard time believing Caleb will even be in the positions where he feels like he needs to do something the head coach won't allow him to do, because there will be a level of trust between the two of them that never existed with Eberflus, clearly.
Yeah.
How could you have a trusting relationship and then also claim the guy's a liar?
You know what I mean? How do you feel? And this is kind of how, maybe this is not the right way to gauge it, but it's how I look at things. Usually when a coach is the guy, you see it pretty quickly. You didn't look at Sean McVay early on and go, wow, I don't know if this guy's got it. You didn't look at Kyle Shanahan early on and go, wow, this guy's got it. How quickly are you looking for the signs of Ben Johnson to be being that guy, the smartest football guy in the league, to hit in this season? Because for me, I'm not gonna lie, how you handle the first 6 games, I think, is going to be very big. I remember watching how Flus handled the first 6 games, and I was like, this guy has no idea how to be a head coach. And maybe it takes time to learn that. But usually people have some semblance of how the position works when you start off.
Yeah, I think everybody's got some growing pains to it. And look, even some of the smartest guys still do things I don't love. Like, Kyle Shanahan is a wizard. And he's the same guy who threw the football in field goal range in the final 3 minutes of the Super Bowl. Like, that was idiotic. It's the reason the Patriots won. Yeah. You could have iced the game away. Instead, we're having Matt Ryan drop back. You take a holding penalty. Oops. game's over. Like you just gave the Patriots a chance to come back. McVay, timeout usage often is baffling, but more often than not, you're going to be on the right side of things with a guy like Sean McVay, and he'll get the best out of your players. So the in-game stuff, you grow into it, you'll learn about it, and you're going to make mistakes. Like, those things are just going to happen. I'm more looking for what Caleb looks like in the first 6 weeks, where I want to see a looser player. I want to see a guy who's operating more in structure. I've talked a lot the past couple episodes on here. I'd like to see shorter dropbacks, put Caleb in a position to succeed, make a quicker decision, get rid of the football, or make a decision to run. But I'm more invested in like what that relationship looks like and how much he's able to grow because of that relationship than I am like, oh, final 3 minutes of a game and Ben Johnson took a timeout I didn't love, or didn't take a timeout where I thought he should have, or mismanaged the clock. That stuff's going to happen. So get it out of the way early and let it be a learning experience. Like Eberflus did stuff that you scratch your head at on a week in, week out basis. If it happens once in the first 6 weeks, we'll live with it. If you do it 6 times in the first 6 weeks, we got a problem. But mostly I'm looking at what Caleb looks like and how that relationship blossoms early.
Yeah, and I think that's what I mean with this, right? Like, to me, when I look at Flus's first, up to the bye week in his first season, I remember getting to the bye week and just being like, listen, there's going to be growing pains, but like, it's not good right now. It's really bad. But and then you give all the reasons why they're blowing the team up. They didn't want this to work. They didn't want this to happen. Yada yada yada. I look at Sean McVay when he came into the Rams. Not very different team, much more competitive team at that point. I think they were coming off of a let me see, was it never mind, 4-12 season. That's that year before. I thought they were 7-8. 4-12 season that season before. Got Jared Goff, had the number 1 pick. Sean McVay comes in his first season as a head coach. By the bye week, he was 5-2. I feel like when you have that guy, you kind of know it very early on. We weren't looking at Sean McVay early on going, wow, seems like his head is swimming out there. We were kind of just like, did they just find like the greatest thing since sliced bread? And we've yet again, we're still stuck here with who was it, Nagy at that point? Or maybe we were coming off of the end of John Fox at that point. Either way, like, I feel like with Ben Johnson, because of where we put him, especially intelligence-wise, you almost are looking for the start of the season similar to that. Now, our bye week would be week 5, so maybe that's 4-1 at that point or whatever it is. But you're looking at it like you got to kind of be that guy quickly, because very rarely do you see the mediocre play callers all of a sudden just become one of the greatest that you've ever seen.
I'm not going to put a wins and losses thing on it, especially not in June. Let me see an offense that I think looks smart and capable. And don't let me see another year where every first quarter we're begging for points. Can't have that anymore. Like, let's get going early. And then if you want to say like 3-1, 4-1, I'd be thrilled. I'd be beside myself. And to an extent, you're right. Like, when you have a guy, Houston with DeMeco Ryans is an example of a team that just hit. Dan Quinn in Washington last year just hit. Like, when you have a good head coach, it typically works out quickly. The counterpoint would be a guy like Dan Campbell, who went 3-13-1 and then started 1-6 the following season before finishing 9-8. But the difference, and I use that example because that's where Ben Johnson comes from, obviously. The difference is Dan Campbell was brought into a rebuild. This is not a rebuild. And I won't accept anybody who says first-year head coach, we have to behave like this is a rebuild. No, we don't. You just used the number 1 pick on a quarterback 2 seasons ago. You have rebuilt the offensive line. You have a wealth of talent in the pass-catching game. I can't look at this like a rebuild. I can have concerns about the defensive line. I can have concerns about the roster, but I can't sit here and tell you this is a rebuilding roster. This is a talented roster. Then if you got a good head coach who can use the quarterback and put the quarterback in the right positions and put guys in positions where they can have success, yeah, this should look a lot better. And could it be 8-9? Sure. Could it be 10-7? Sure. Like, I'm not putting a win number for success on it. My biggest thing is I want to see a top 15 offense, preferably top 10. And that's how I'll evaluate Ben Johnson.
Well, I think even to that point though, right? The reason we talk about Dan Campbell in that way, the reason we always say maybe this guy can be the Dan Campbell of this thing is because Dan Campbell's the anomaly. Dan Campbell's the one that is not the norm of, hey, this is going to be a perfect situation. Eventually, we're slowly going to build to this. I've been the same dude the whole time, and I'm a great head coach. And it ends up turning into that. Usually, we don't see that. You start off 3-13, you start off 1-6 the next season. You don't usually see that bounce back. And so, like, I think the situation that happens more often is usually when you have the guy you mentioned, D'Amico Ryan, that hits. And so I'm looking at this very similar to you. This isn't a rebuild. You've got too much talent on this team for it to be a rebuild. And why I say that is you take Rome Odunze and you put him in LA, Sean McVay is going to know what to do with him. You take Montez Sweat and you put him in with the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh is going to know what to do with them. Like these guys there are teams where if you take this talent that's on this team and put a different coach in place, it's going to hit. So you kind of need this to hit with Ben Johnson. And in my mind, I do think you need it to look like you said, the offense or something look like, hey, this is going to be something that lasts for a while right away.
Well, yeah, and I'm also like trying to think of guys who maybe haven't had the longevity. Jonathan Gannon in Arizona jumps out to me as one of those where you thought early on, first half of games, they're always in it, they're competitive, they're ready to play, and then they're just not talented enough in the second half and it falls apart. Last year kind of revealed, Jonathan Gannon might not be that guy, and this will be this year that tells the story, which is what happened with Eberflus. The first year was horrible. It was a tank season. The second year was a little bit of an improvement, and then it all hinges on year 3. So we really won't have definitive what is Ben Johnson until we're 3 years into this, and he's going to get minimum 3 years.
Yeah.
But like the way I would say it is we could know immediately or we will not know until the end of year 3. There's no way we're going to come out of the first year and think, got the wrong guy. I just don't imagine that's the case.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I think this is going to be, I've said, I feel like this is going to be a very fun season for the Bears. I think this is going to be a season that a lot of people are paying attention to. And the NFL believes that because ton of primetime games. We'll see what the Bears end up doing as we get closer to the season. Very excited for the next 6 weeks, Shay. We're going to have some great content over here in the time where there's nothing to talk about. We're going to make the best content out there. Stand on that. Make sure you guys stay tuned in with us, man. As always. Oh, go ahead.
I have a content. Well, I'm not going to run it by you on the air, obviously, but I do have a content idea that the next 6 weeks we should play out. I think we should do a little bit of a series. See what Eric thinks about that. A little bit of a summer preview series.
I like this. See, that's what I mean. Best content you're going to get on the internet right here. Shay Norland coming up with ideas already. Y'all stay tapped in with us, man. We're going to keep this thing going. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. For Shay Norland, it's your boy, Pat the Designer. Back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Peace.